Welcome, race fans, to the Williams Grove Speedway. This is Andrew Cardinale in the PSI TV booth, accompanied tonight by Brandon Elshoff, who has done some races with us before. You might recognize his name, as well as Sam Collins, who's working out a couple of issues real quick with his computer. But Sam Collins will be back in just a moment. Both of these guys have been featured in races that we've done here on PSI TV, but Sam hasn't commentated yet, whereas Brennan has. So it should be an interesting night here tonight. Got a few unknowns both on the racetrack and in the booth, but I have full confidence that it should be a great race on both ends. So, Brennan, welcome up to the booth. What are you feeling for tonight?
It's definitely a lot different racetrack than last week. They're both half-mile long, but we got really long straights and tight corners here compared to like an oval shape. And it's purpose-built here for sprint cars, so should be a lot of fun action tonight.
Yeah, Williams Grove is, like you say, purpose built for sprint cars. There's not a whole lot else that I like to bring to Williams Grove, but the 305s, the 360s, with my little bit of dirt knowledge, are both fun here. So definitely one of those tracks, like you said, purpose built for sprint cars. Doesn't work quite as well for things like late models and modifieds and such, but these guys are in the 360 sprint cars in iRacing. If you weren't here last week, these guys were at Eldora Speedway. It was a pretty decent race when it was green, a lot of cautions, but that's what happens when it's a league's very first race, not even first race of the season, very first race period. So there's things that the admins have sorted out for tonight, and it should be a much better race here, Brennan.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we should see some long green flag runs here, and definitely see some people maybe run away with the victory tonight, or maybe we could see some good pack racing. We'll see. Comes of it.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how these guys take turn one the first lap, and I imagine, in the opening laps we'll have a couple of wrecks, and these guys will start to calm down. It's generally how races go here. In my previous experiences, you have the first few hiccups of the race, and then things start to settle down, and by the end of the race, you can have some good green flag racing.
Yeah, once everybody gets settled into the groove, it should stay green pretty long. With the sprint cars, it's not quite as bad as I'd say with like if you brought street stocks or late models here, where it's just such a huge car for how tight the track corners can kind of be. There's only one real good fast line around here. With the sprint cars, you have a couple more options though. You can run it out a little bit higher out on the line and just floor it all the way through, or you can run towards the inside. But the only thing you got to be worried about is your corner entry. If not, you'll just push straight through the corner.
And as you mentioned that, I clicked over to the practice leader so far. That's going to be looks like Timothy Smith in the number 38, out there with about a 300th of a second lead over second place Brenner in the 84 right now. And Brandon, I'm watching his car, and you mentioned some adversities with handling. This car looks like it's handling perfectly right now. That number 38.
Yeah, he's got it set up real well. We'll see what when the track starts to rubber in and where the line's at, if he can keep the pace up though.
And I figure this is a pretty good time to bring up some onboard cameras. So tonight we'll have a plethora of onboard cameras as always. First, we've got an onboard on the right-hand side of the wing, looking at the driver. We also have, of course, the nose camera and the gearbox camera, or rather, I guess, yeah, gearbox works. And we also have four other cameras plus a gyro, I believe, unless I changed it up. And the gyro, okay, so there's the gyro here, but it was turned into just a wing on top of their, yeah, wing on top of the camera, Brennan. I've got it already. Camera on top of the wing, there we go. Yeah, there's just a plethora of cameras out here that I always like to show off. And we'll be using these throughout the race to show the racing action as the drivers would see it. Again, just a bunch of really cool cameras that I was able to put together for this. So hopefully everyone enjoys the cameras on the cars tonight. But tell you what, I think the better cameras are probably going to be the ones just watching all of the cars take these very, very tight corners here, Brennan. I know you've raced here quite a bit in your time, and I know you've raced the sprint cars quite a bit as well. So overall, who do you think has the best shot as far as starting position?
I definitely see your front runners, because there's, like I said, there's really one real good line when there's a line available. Either it'll be the inside, or as we see here, some people are starting to run a little bit higher up. But anybody out front that can get ahead of the pack, 'cause it'll be one big line of sprint cars pretty much. We saw that kind of happen in Eldora as well. Whoever can lead that pack and start working on getting away from them, I think has got their best chance. At the moment, it looks like that's going to be Timothy Smith. He's got the best time.
Yeah, currently Timothy Smith still up over the 84 by about 300ths of a second. And these guys are definitely trying to find anything they can to quicken up the pace here a little bit. Currently, they aren't finding a whole lot, it looks like, but Timothy Smith, like we said, on point so far. We'll bring up the results so far tonight in practice. Chris Brenner, as we mentioned, second place, 300ths of a second back. Nelson Webster, just a little ways back of him in the number 15. In fourth place is going to be Ryan Pace in the 69. In fifth is Brett Strickler in the 16. Then Robert Kerstetter makes his return in the number 27. He is currently sixth place. Ted Lietti in seventh. Trevor Royer in eighth. And he was our winner last week at Eldora. Brad Speidel, I think, as that's how you say his name. I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm not. But Brad Speidel, I think is how you say his name, in ninth place, with Derek Fisher in 10th.
We'll go a little bit further down the field here. We have Richard Lewis. He's going to be 11th place, followed by James Roseberry, 12th. We have Stephen Limon, 13th, followed by Travis Cornwell in 14th. We have Timothy DeZuarte in 15th. Then Nathan Sletto in 16th. And Brandon Bradney in 18th. 19th to go to Tim Gamble. It looks like we just had a change there. Wade Lamar is going to pick up. Oh, shoot. I forgot where we were at there. Kind of hard with that number.
So Tim Gamble is currently in the 18th spot with Wade Lamar in the 19th spot and Jerry Glenn in 20th. If we go to the next page of the results, 21st on back is Kane Lasky in 21st, Steven Sittler in 22nd, Glenn Richards in 23rd. And that's actually the field. We've got a few guys down there. Brody Wilhelm will be admitting tonight. You see the 3 PSI TV accounts pulled up, and Cody Anderson hasn't turned any laps yet. So I feel it's worth mentioning, this series, the Dirt Racing Challenge Series, did pick up a brand new sponsor starting this week, brand new title sponsor that is, and that's Race Agent. Unfortunately, didn't get all the info on Race Agent, but it sounds like Race Agent will be putting together a 2018 sim racing team on all sorts of platforms, be it dirt racing like we have here tonight, or pavement oval, pavement road, etc., etc. So there's quite a few things going on with Race Agent for 2018, and thankfully they are sponsoring this Dirt Racing Challenge Series here for the remainder of Season 1. Now, as we watch the last few seconds of practice here, these guys will be heading off into a lone qualifier. We'll kick up some commercials just to fill the time, and then we'll be right back right after that with hopefully a pole interview, but we may not have an interview with the pole sitter. And actually, before we do that, we are going to have a guest in the booth real quick explaining exactly what Race Agent is. Glenn Richards, this is Andrew in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy?
I do.
Well, Glenn, I noticed you out there in the chat on the broadcast mentioning that you can explain exactly what Race Agent is, so if you'd be kind enough to do so, that would help a ton.
Race Agent is my primary sponsor for this season and the next season coming up. What Race Agent does is Race Agent is a sponsorship engine, so it helps people, these like low-funded teams, find big sponsors. And then through this year, we're looking to give away almost 100,000 by the end of 2018.
Well, that's certainly a lot of money. So if somebody was wanting to, I guess, check in on maybe a Race Agent sponsored driver or contact Race Agent themselves, how could they do so?
We have Race Agent has a Instagram page at Race Agent. We also have a new Discord server for our like sim racers. I am in charge of our sim racing team. And if anyone was to ever want to join, they'd either DM or private message Race Agent or at Race Agent Sim, which is my division.
All right, sounds good, Glenn. Thanks for that insight on the new sponsor of the Dirt Racing Challenge Series for 2017. We'll let you get back to, I believe you'll be qualifying for the race here tonight. So best of luck in the race, and we'll be talking to you later.
Thank you.
And again, that was Glenn Richards, sponsored by Race Agent, so he gave us that insight there on exactly what Race Agent is. And real quick, want to welcome Sam Collins into the booth finally. Sam, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We got a great race on hand here at Williams Grove Speedway, and we're only a few minutes from the race getting going. Currently, these drivers are qualifying, so we'll bring up the current results as they run in qualifying. Looks like Timothy Smith is currently on pole. You guys seeing that too?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so currently Timothy Smith on pole in that number 38 with Trevor Royer, last week's winner, in second, Chris Brenner in third, Wade Lamar in fourth, and currently Brett Strickler would round out your top five. Actually, now Robert Kerstetter puts it in third, moving Wade Lamar into the fifth position, and Chris Brenner goes to the top spot. So as we wait for these guys to finish their qualifying laps, you'll see in the top left-hand corner, these guys have 5 laps for qualifying, so it'll be just a minute, but they only I think, have 5 minutes. You guys would have to check on that for me, but I think they have 5 minutes to do those 5 laps, which will
It's
go
5
by...
minutes and 4 laps.
All right, so that'll go by relatively quickly, and I dare say they're actually coming up to the latter stages of that session right now.
We have just under 2 minutes left on that.
All right, so we'll keep this graphic up for you guys to check exactly who is in the top 10 right now. Ryan Pace currently, actually, I think just moved up to 8th. I may be wrong there, but currently, actually, Ted Lietti goes up to 2nd spot. So currently, Chris Brenner would be taking home the pole with Ted Lietti in 2nd, Timothy Smith in 3rd, Nelson Webster moving up to 4th, Trevor Royer in 5th, Robert Kerstetter in 6th, Wade Lamar 7th, Brett Strickler in 8th, Ryan Pace in 9th, and Derek Fisher into 10th. Now, if you guys want to join the Dirt Racing Challenge Series, you can go to their Facebook page, Dirt Racing Challenge Series DRCS. And I think I can look for the link here in just a moment, unless one of you guys wants to get it for me, but should be able to get this. So Sam, I believe you were a spectator for last week's race, watching via the PSI TV stream, so if you could give us your thoughts on last week's race, that'd be pretty great.
I mean, it was a great race. There's quite a few cautions and stuff like that, but that's to be expected. Definitely to say with a 23-man field right now. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this week brings and what these guys can bring to the track. I expect some good, clean racing and hopefully not too many accidents tonight.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, and I believe Brett and you share the same feeling, that these guys are able to get some more laps under green here tonight. I know Brody Wilhelm, the main admin over here at the Dirt Racing Challenge Series, is working to sort that out, so I'd imagine it'll get sorted out tonight, but tell you what, we just rolled over to gridding for the race, so we'll take a quick look at your lineup for tonight. And as we cycle over to the pole sitter, the number 84 of Chris Brenner. We already said the pole sitter, Chris Brenner on pole with Ted Lietti to his outside in row number 1. In row 2 is going to be Timothy Smith in 3rd place, Nelson Webster in 4th. In 5th, we've got Trevor Royer, last week's winner, out of Pennsylvania, as well as Robert Kerstetter to his outside. In 7th place, Wade Lamar runs an 18.909 in his number 26 with Brett Strickler to his outside in 8th. And in row number 5, we've got Ryan Pace and Derek Fisher.
Your sixth row is going to start with Nathan Sletto in 11th, followed by Richard Lewis to his outside in 12th. Next row, we're going to have Timothy Duarte on the inside, and Brad Speidel, I think that's how we determined. We're going to say that in 14th. Following row, we'll have James Roseberry in 15th, followed by Kane Lasky to his outside in 16th. We'll have Tim Gamble in 17th, Stephen Lamone on his outside in 18th. Gonna round it out.
Lastly, we're gonna have Bradney in the 19th, Cody Anderson in the 20th spot. In your 21st spot, we're gonna have Steven Sittler. 22nd, we're gonna have Travis Cornwell, and in 23rd, we're gonna have Glenn Richards.
And it looks like in 24th, Jerry Glenn didn't take a time. I believe he set a practice time, so we'll have to see if he grids up for the race. But looks like Chris Brenner is going to have the way paved for him to try and get this win. Right off the bat, last week we saw Trevor Royer get to the lead and never look back. He held the lead for the rest of the race, so it's something to watch out for to see if this number 84 holds the lead the rest of the race.
And this is definitely the track that you have a chance of doing that. It's hard to put a slide job here, especially how the middle of the track's slicked off here. You can't really get in there because you're going to want to push up in the rubber.
And for this start, we'll be watching from the onboard camera aboard our practice leader, number 38, Timothy Smith. So we'll cycle over to him real quick. If I can find him, there he is. So we'll be taking his onboard camera here tonight on the number 38. And as these guys roll around turns 3 and 4 to get to the 1 to go signal until the start of the race, any early bets on the winner?
I'm going to have to give it probably to either Chris Brenner since he's sitting on pole, or I think Trevor Royer may have something for him. Possibly Timothy Smith too. He was the quickest in practice. Definitely your top 5 guys I think have a good chance tonight.
I think I have to agree with Brendan on this one. You know, I think it's gonna be a very close race, and I'm curious to see what happens.
Well, I'm going to have to go ahead and take second place Ted Lietti then. Last week we saw a second place starter, the number 38 Trevor Royer, take the win in the number 90. So Ted Lietti starting on the outside in second place. And actually these guys are off with the start of the race.
Green.
Off and away, and Chris
Huge
Brenner
jump.
already has a huge lead.
All right, man. Caution.
And
Yeah,
Caution's
I can see
already
that.
out in the back. Any visual on who that was?
Tim Gamble's caught up in it. Let's see if I can find it.
So while we look for the incident here,
Like, yeah, it's gonna be the 37 and the 17, or the 343, excuse me, Tim Gamble. 37 is James Roseberry. I just kind of lost it in the middle and got into him.
so we'll take a quick look at this. This is where these guys were taking the green flag, and the caution was just after this point. And yeah, in the back, just before some of these guys even got to the start-finish line, already a wreck coming out of turn 4. But for the most part, and actually another wreck with the 37 and the 343. That's where Tim Gamble was involved, and actually the car flipped over.
Oh, we had another incident then? That's the first one I saw.
Yeah, so there were 2 incidents there. I wasn't sure on the number on the car flipped over, but we'll cycle back up to the lead. Going to be Chris Brenner still. He got that huge jump, and I think that's going to be the name of the game here tonight if we get another one of these restart races. Sorry, it'll be mostly just get to the lead and stay there.
Yeah, I believe that the number you're looking for in the flip car was the 29 at Kane Lasky's. He was sitting there in the pits. So.
Well, then we'll actually try and get a replay from that number 29 of Kane Lasky. And looks like that may be the one. Got the Oculus Rift on the car tonight, and we'll see if we can cycle back to where he would have gotten flipped over. So from
He just
his
got
on
caught up.
board, he just gets hit by a car coming up the track, and Unfortunately, ends up getting flipped over. And it's actually a very lazy flip. I'm not exactly sure what ended up flipping him over, but he ends up flipped over, and then actually
He bugs
High
out, yeah.
Racing went a little wild there, and that will be probably the end of his night, as I don't believe these guys have faster pairs.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
So back up to Chris Brenner, as I believe these guys are getting ready to restart. And the R will wait for that 84 to have the restart, and there he goes. He's already on the loud pedal and getting way away from the 331 behind him.
His restarts are just crazy, man. He's getting off this line ahead of everyone so fast.
Yeah, he gets to determine the restart, obviously, so it's whenever he wants to go, and everybody just has to be paying attention.
Right now, these guys are trying to find a way to get up to him, and Chris Brenner's still just pulling away from these guys, and it doesn't look like these guys are going to have much for him right now. Chris Brenner on a rail in that number 84 car, but Ted Lietti, don't rule him out yet. Obviously, he's got probably the best view of anyone, considering he only has to go get the leader, and he has someone to actually chase after, but it looks like third place Timothy Smith also has a pretty good car out here.
And we're starting to see a little bit further back. Some people are starting to fish the bottom, seeing if they can pick up some speed there. Looks like the line still may be on the high side, though.
So I do want to mention real quick, we've got an entirely new set of graphics out
We
here
have a
tonight that
yellow.
we've been
Oh,
using for
big
a
wreck.
couple of races, and as Brennan says, a big wreck in the back, and we'll try and get that on screen for you.
The number 3 of Nathan Slutto, and I didn't catch the other car. Nathan Slutto's actually smoking from the engine. Probably his night.
So Nathan Sletto in the all-black unsponsored number 3 out here already with huge motor troubles, smoking down the back straightaway. Doesn't look like he'll get a chance to have anything to
Oh,
say about the
boy.
end of this race. And going to try and get a look back at this incident here in just a moment.
Yeah, the 90 was stopped on the track, and he had nowhere to go. Looks like.
That's, yep.
Yeah, Trevor Royer, actually our race winner last week. Sounds like his night may be over as well.
So we'll watch what happens to the number 3 here. And yeah, Trevor Royer. Actually, no, that was a different car. I think Trevor Royer was having some connection issues and suddenly popped up in front of the number 3. I could be wrong, but I didn't see Trevor Royer until he hit him.
You know, my replay
Yep.
showed him just stopped in the track there, but
All right, so we'll check out another view of this from the onboard of the number 3. I didn't. Okay, yeah, Trevor Royer hit the inside wall and they came back up the track, and nowhere to go for Nathan Sletto.
yeah, there's not a high chance at all that they'll be able to even come back out on the track if they wanted to. Obviously, they'll be several laps down, but I think
So I
their
wonder
night's
what
probably
exactly
done.
happened to the number 90, because we saw him stopped on the inside wall down there, made at least some sort of contact with the inside wall out of turn 4, and just ended up stopped, rolled just up a little bit up the track in front of the number 3, but I don't think there was going to be any avoiding it, whether
Yeah.
he was on the wall or not. Looks like he just gets a little bit sideways out of turn 4, ends up going straight down into the fence, and then just nowhere for Nathan Sletto to go. Nathan Sletto destroys him, hits the inside wall himself, and that's going to be the end of the night for both of these drivers.
Yeah, it looked like he was way up high on the wall, getting ready to come out of the exit of 4 there, and he kind of had to turn the wheels in to keep from hitting the outside wall, and I think he just caught someone that slicked off part of the track, and it pushed him into the wall there.
Chris Brenner back in the lead with the restart. Green flag in the air. Chris Brenner pulling away. Ted Lietti still right behind him, though. Ted Lietti not going anywhere in that number 331.
Yeah, much different jump this time, I think.
And actually,
He's
Ted
kinda
Lietti's
got
going to have a
figured out.
run out of turn 4. Won't get to him just yet, but Chris Brenner, we saw him try the more revved up part of the track down along the bottom, and Ted Lietti was immediately able to catch up to him quite a bit. Almost had enough of a run to try and make a move. Didn't just yet. Chris Brenner, back to the bottom side. Ted Lietti going to go right around him.
Looks like they're not going to quite make it stick going down the front stretch. They go into 1 here.
Yeah, Ted
looks
Lietti
like-
certainly tried. It looks like maybe he got a little too high up the track and jumped the cushion a little bit, got into the fence maybe. is not going to be able to take that first spot just yet, but Chris Brenner back down to the bottom. This is where Ted Lietti has to make his move. Turns 3 and 4. Car on the wall. It's number 38.
Yeah, and we actually have a pretty tight pack until that last little corner there of about 5 cars here following.
Timothy Smith still right with this battle, though, and the number 15, Nelson Webster, getting into the battle as well. Now Chris Brenner goes back to the top side. Ted Lietti following here, Sam.
Yeah, I'm getting really surprised by what Chris Brenner is doing. He seems to be running that inside line occasionally, and you know, Ted Lietti has the chance to go on the high side, but it doesn't seem like he's clearing it through correctly. So we'll have to see what goes on there.
Ted Lietti still trying to find some sort of advantage on the number 84. Hasn't found it just yet now that Chris Brenner's back to running the top side. So I'm not sure if he'll be able to find anything on that number 84, but right now he's starting to fall back again.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, I think everybody's starting to get settled in here. This is our longest green flag stint coming up here, I think, at this lap. And starting to spread out. People are driving a little bit different lines than each other. So we'll see. Looks like so far only Ted Lietti's being able to keep up with Chris Brenner as they're racing a little bit further behind him.
Yeah, I was just going to mention this battle right behind these guys for the lead. Robert Kerstetter trying to get by the number 38 of Timothy Smith, and it looks like Kerstetter's right back in this battle after falling back a little ways, and it looks like that Tony Stewart racing machine has a lot of speed in it. Just like last week at Eldora, he's going to go for the move to the inside. Isn't going to find the spot just yet, though.
Yeah. Chris Brenner's, I think, starting to find some speed on the inside here. He's starting to build a gap on Ted Lietti.
These guys still trying to find any advantage they can, and actually a battle further back, it looks like maybe the number 4 was trying to move to the inside, so we'll try and pull him up. That's going to be Richard Lewis in the number 4 car. So another battle further back. This is going to be around the, I believe, 8th, 9th spot. Looks like the number 11 was just passed for 7th spot, and so 6th place, the number 26, not sure on the name. It's going to be Wade Lamar in the number 26. Also in this battle with a few guys behind them being Brett Strickler and Ryan Pace. 3 wide at turn 2 with just 19 laps left in the race. Do you have a number on that car?
It's going to be right ahead of the 11 here. Is that
Right, so
Nelson Webster?
91?
91, yep, looks like.
And he's lapped. That's Travis Cornwell in the number 91. So we'll just keep watching this battle as these guys catch the lapped car. The 91 contact on the outside, and that might be a wreck. Nothing yet. I think the 91 is having connection issues.
Yep.
And that's part of the internet racing where, I mean, basically iRacing gets its name from internet and racing. So that's basically why you're seeing little impurities like that. It's just a matter of the fact that this is a web connection based game or simulator, and you know, sometimes there's connection issues, but looks like the number 4 here, Richard Lewis, still trying to find his way around the number 11.
He was able to clear Wade Lamar, but he had a little bit of a... He was right up against him with the lap car, the 91 there, but it looks like Derek Fisher's able to keep him held off for now.
And it's number 11, Derek Fisher. We saw him
There's
qualify up in the top 10, and yep, there it goes. Richard Lewis right by the number 11. These guys, I believe, are both Tony Stewart racing guys, so I'm sure they'll give each other a couple of breaks here. But back up to the front, we're going to have, looks like Ted Lietti now in the lead. We missed the pass for the lead, but Ted Lietti now up to P1.
We had the 11 on the outside wall there, actually, after he just left. Looks like he was able to get it underway, though.
Chris Brenner working the bottom side. Robert Kerstetter still working the top. And actually, I think that 27 is going to have something to say about that number 84 running in second spot right now.
Yeah, the 27's running a nice high line. I'm really surprised to see Chris Brenner running that low line right now, but now it seems like he moved back up high to try to catch Ted Lietti.
Yeah, I think Chris Brenner is really trying to keep to the bottom side that these guys normally use on a fresh track. And actually, Robert Kerstetter, as soon as I say that, goes right to the bottom, almost gets into the left rear tire of Chris Brenner, but is able to keep it off and slides up and loses a ton of time. And now Chris Brenner to the inside trying to pass the 331. The 84 back down to the bottom side. Chris Brenner trying to find a way around Ted Lietti. Robert Kerstetter right behind these guys. And I'll tell you what, if these guys screw up like Ted Lietti did right into turn 1 right there, Robert Kerstetter's in the perfect spot. A failed slider there from Chris Brenner. Oh, contact! Robert Kerstetter tried to go to the inside, and Chris Brenner went there first. Now they're coming up on lap traffic here. It looks like the 444 maybe, and the 91 once again.
Yeah, they got really lucky with that hit right there. That
And the 38 in the wall behind these guys. Sorry, Sam, but the 38 was starting to catch up to these guys.
Actually, just got an incident there. I think that's gonna bring the early up.
Yeah, what's up?
The 11 was definitely involved. I think it was the 69 as well there.
And we won't mention the sponsor on the 69, but he was throwing a huge slide job on the 11. Didn't exactly make it work, and the 11 ended up into the 69 as well. Actually, I'm not really sure who that would be on. It's kind of hard to say, really.
Yeah.
Kind of just by the aggressiveness of the 69's slide jump, and then the 11 not wanting to really give him any room.
Good
So,
position, yeah.
I mean, either way, just ending up in a wreck here out of turn 2, and that's probably going to end both of their nights, as I believe the 69 went flipping.
Yeah, it looked like it. I don't know. We still have 11 laps to go at that time. I think there definitely was opportunities to try and make the pass there. So, and
Yeah, it was an
my
aggressive
position,
move, but
yeah.
not necessarily, a dumb one by any means. It may have been aggressive, but it's not like it wasn't the right timing for it.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you just got to give it up and just fight them right back for it. There was no sense there, I think, in just running up both the end of the wall there. But unfortunately, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you don't always think about what's about to happen. So I think that'll take away their chance at finishing the race the other night, unfortunately.
Now, as these guys round lap 33 of 40, I can confirm that Chris Brenner will have the most laps led on the night with 21. So even if Ted Lietti leads from here to the end of the race, he'll only have 19 laps led. So one of those laps, had Ted Lietti been able to pass the number 84, they would have tied. So definitely a close race out here. I think Ted Lietti may have the advantage on this short run to the checkered flag simply because of where he's starting. But we'll visit the number 84s on board as these guys get ready for a restart.
Enough, he's going to elect for the inside line there, where it's looks like it's going to work for him. Big jump.
Big jump.
Yeah, I think even going down there on the inside where there's a little bit more rubber put down on the track, a little bit slicker for these tires, you're going to have just the advantage going first. So, even with limited grip, you'll still be able to get way ahead of everyone else as Chris Brenner trying to work that bottom side, trying to find any advantage he can on the 331. We see both of these guys get squirrely out of turn 4.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go right now with this track. It's slicked off pretty much low to high. There's only a real tight groove on the high and the low side of anywhere to get rubber. And we actually have a car on the wall. Yeah, on the gap in the outside wall there. I didn't quite catch the number.
And that won't exactly end the race just yet.
That was for Richard Lewis, I believe.
It will certainly impact the finish, but it's not going to end the race quite yet. I believe these guys will have a chance to restart. We'll get a replay on this number 4 car here. As these guys are all running in a pack right on top of each other. Richard Lewis and the Tony Stewart Racing Machine. We'll see what happens to him with about 5 laps to go in this 40-lap feature event.
Looks like he just caught the gap on the outside wall.
Yeah, that rear tire just, being so much wider than everything else in the car pretty much, ended up tagging the outside retaining wall just a little bit, and that shot him head on into the cut-in the wall like you mentioned there, Brennan.
Yeah, it looks like he may have caused some damage to the 16 there, and possibly I don't know the number. It looks like the 26 may have gotten involved too. He's got some substantial damage. Excuse me there. He's actually driving the car kind of crooked, so it looks like he's going to pull it in for the night.
I'll tell you what, this was a wild ride for the Tony Stewart Racing driver of Richard Lewis, and we'll watch now as we have his onboard pulled up. He goes for a heck of a ride, a ton of airtime in that number 4.
And actually, it looks like that 26, the damage was just all done to himself trying to avoid that wreck there. But end his night for Wade Lamar there, unfortunately.
And we're going to have a one-lap shootout from here to the end. Real quick, we'll pull up a race summary as these guys get ready to complete the last lap. And it will be under green. We're getting the restart in just a moment here. Laps complete so far 38. We're about to complete 39 and have a one-lap shootout. Lead changes just one from Chris Brenner to Ted Lietti. And there's been 4 cautions so far tonight for 12 laps as these guys get ready for the restart. And coming out of
Field got
turn
bunched
4, Ted Lietti back on the loud pedal. Chris Brenner trying to catch him.
Yeah, the field got bunched up right there, right before the start, so he had a decent opportunity to pull away there. It looks like
It's going to
Lietti's
have to
gonna fall right
happen
behind
here,
him.
Brennan. We'll see if Chris Brenner pitches it off into the corner enough. He doesn't have an opportunity, so everything is a battle for third place on back. Chris Brenner going to finish second to Ted Lietti, your winner here tonight at Williams Grove.
That was a great race, honestly. You know, I mean, only 4 cautions is really not that bad, and these guys raced really, really well.
And Williams Grove is definitely a tough track when it comes to cautions. Your speeds, I didn't mention this earlier, but I think I want to bring it up here. You're talking, they're going about 130 miles an hour down the straightaways, and they're slowing down all the way to about 60 miles an hour in the middle of the corner there. So a lot of difference in speed. So it's a great. There's a high chance of cautions. So if only 4 for the night compared to what we had last week with Eldora. These guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, you know, I expected a lot more cautions than just 4, even though it was only a 40-lap race. I expected a few more cautions there at the start, but these guys, like you say, Brennan, did a great job. That was really a great race there tonight from the Dirt Racing Challenge Series guys. And they're now sponsored by Race Agent, so you can check Race Agent out at the links, the places provided earlier by Glenn Richards. And we're going to look for some drivers to interview here in the chat. Looks like our winner, Ted Lietti, at least, is in TeamSpeak. Looks like Chris Brenner as well, but do we see third place Kerstetter? We do not.
Not.
So we'll work on bringing Chris Brenner up. Chris Brenner, this is Andrew Cardinale in the PSI TV booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, Chris, you drove one heck of a race. You ended up wrapping up most laps led at 21, and unfortunately, you know, even though you started on pole, it wasn't quite enough for Ted Lietti. He had a heck of a car out there tonight in the 331. How was your car?
Well, the car felt great. I don't know who that was. I got into a lap car while I was leading there, and that didn't help anything. But Ted was just as fast as I was, so that was going to be a shootout no matter what. He ran a good race, and that last caution really that hurt. I wanted to race that one out, but I can't complain about a second place finish. There's a lot of tough competition in here.
Yeah, you certainly drove a great race here tonight. I don't believe we saw you at Eldora. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it'll be a lot of fun watching you and the number 84 crew battle it out with the rest of these guys here in the Dirt Racing Challenge Series for the rest of Season 1. Who makes it happen for you, Chris?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Teammates at UW Motorsports. We got a 4th place with Tim and a 7th place with Brad Speidel. You'll be seeing us racing some more of these for sure.
All right, well, thanks for coming out here tonight, Chris. It'll be a lot of fun watching you in the future battle with the guys like Ted Lietti and Robert Kerstetter, who joined you here in the top 3. So congratulations on your second place run. We'll see you at Volusia in about a month.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for putting on shows. Good race.
Again, that was second place finisher Chris Brenner in the number 84 out of Ohio. Next, we're going to bring up Ted Lietti. Actually, I'm going to get a confirmation on how to say his name as well, because I hope we're not saying it wrong, but I just want to be sure. So we'll bring him up in a moment. One second here. We'll bring Ted on up. Ted, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do, Andrew.
Well, Ted, real quick, I've been saying your name a particular way for 2 weeks now, and I just want to make sure it's right. I've been saying Ted Lietti. Is that incorrect?
It's Liette.
I was very close then. Ted Lietti. All right, that's good to know. First off, congrats on the win here tonight. You drove one heck of a race. Ended up being able to pass that number 84 Chris Brenner. So how'd you do it?
I think I just had a little bit of luck on my side. Chris had a unfortunate incident with the lap car, and if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I'd have got by him.
Well, Ted, I'll tell you what, you drove a heck of a race either way. You were in that second place spot when that happened, so you did everything right from your point. So congrats on the win. Who makes it happen for you in that number 331?
I just want to thank my teammates over at TSR and all the guys that helped me with setups and that stuff. And I really appreciate you guys doing this.
No problem. It was a lot of fun to watch you in that number 331. We'll be looking for more of you here in the future. We're going to Volusia in about a month, so hopefully we see you there.
Thanks, Andrew.
And again, that was Ted Liette. Now we know how to say it. Ted Liette, not Ted Liette. So Ted Liette with the win here tonight, and we're going to go through the field. I'll start off with the top 10, and that's going to be Ted Liette in the number 331 with Chris Brenner in second place, with Robert Kersetter in third, Timothy Smith in fourth, Nelson Webster in fifth in the number 15 car, Brett Strickler in the 16 will finish sixth, with Brad Speidel in seventh. Timothy DeSwart ends up finishing eighth tonight, with Travis Cornwell right behind him, albeit a lap down in the ninth position, and Tim Gamble going to end up finishing 10th.
And we'll pick up here in 11th. Stephen Lamone, he finished 2 laps down, 11th place. Wade Lamar 3 laps down. We saw him at the end of the race, was not able to finish it. He finished 12th though. Richard Lewis is going to come 15th. He was 4 laps down. And then Derek Fisher, 14th, 10 laps down. Brian Pace, 10 laps down. We'll go to Nathan Sletto. He was 22 laps down. He got caught up in an early accident, unfortunately, there. I'll let you finish out the field, Sam.
Trevor Warrior was 34 laps down in 17th. Cody Anderson, 37 laps in 18th. James Roseberry, 37 laps down in the 19th place. Steven Sittler, also 37 laps down in the 20th. Bradney, 39 laps down in the 21st, and 22nd is going to be Kane Lasky, who has 40 laps down, and 23rd, Glenn Richard at 40 laps.
Well, guys, thanks for joining me up in the booth tonight for race number 2 here in the Dirt Racing Challenge Series, put on by Race Agent and Brody Wilhelm, along with Glenn Richards Designs and David Levine Racing, and the GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. So, guys, like I said, thanks for joining me up here. Thanks to all of our sponsors and the league sponsors out here. It's been a lot of fun here tonight and every other night as normal. So we're going to close up shop a little bit early, only a 46-minute broadcast, so I like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the next race for these guys will be at Volusia in mid-January, so you can watch on the PSI TV Facebook page for that. For now, though, that's all from Williams Grove. This has been Pit Stop Insider TV. Thanks for watching.